Hello, I'm Joel Vessel, and I am the freshman counselor at Kadena High School.
And I'm David Gertz, and I'm the sophomore counselor at Kadena High School. Welcome.
We're here to show you a video and a PowerPoint presentation of some of the important things that you need to know as parents of freshmen. And we hope that this is very informative for you. And if you have questions, feel free to contact us. We're going to be having live sessions, so you can talk to us in person. And we're also going to have this saved on the PantherNet.
Yeah, and because some of the questions for 9th graders are so similar to the questions for 10th graders, we decided to combine it and do it for both 9th and 10th grade. But again, watch the video as many times as you need to, but if you have any questions, you can always come in and talk to us or email us, and we're happy to answer questions. So now we're going to transition to the actual PowerPoint. We hope it's not going to be death by PowerPoint, so we'll just kind of hit the highlights and not read it to you. Okay, the first page is, this slide is kind of an overview of Miss Vessel and myself, and then for the parent night, you're going to have the assistant principals come speak, as well as our school psychologist, Andy Rowetter, and ACTSAT counselor, Gail Wells, and possibly our MFLAX as well.
The PSAT is basically a practice test to get students ready for the SAT. And Dodea pays for our 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th graders to take the PSAT every year. The test that the 9th graders take is different from the one that the 10th and 11th graders take. So our PSAT is always around October 14th, 15th time range, and we get our results back in December. And you can learn a lot from taking the test to find out what areas you're good in and other areas where you need improvement. And then this helps prepare you for when you take the SAT, which is a college entrance test to get into the school of your choice.
Okay, for the PSAT 9 and 10, like I said, our school uses it as a diagnostic tool as well, like for how students are doing, you know, so we really encourage our students to do their best on the test. Because really, if they try really hard and get an accurate score, then they can use it to try to like improve their scores when they eventually take the SAT or ACT. And it can also give them important information about maybe gaps that they need to focus on for their math skills or their writing skills to make them a better learner. So we always encourage students to do their best. And the best way to prepare is, there's no real, like, there is a study guide you can use, but honestly, the best way to prepare for the PSAT is to take challenging courses, you know, keep pushing yourself, make sure you keep up on your homework, plenty of reading outside of school if you can, and take similar kinds of tests so you're kind of prepared for that multiple choice kind of framework. And of course, on test day, make sure you get plenty of rest and eat a good breakfast so you go in with your best game face.
Okay, so the PSAT is going to be on Wednesday, October 14th. We are going to start immediately at 7:20 in the morning when the bell rings. Most students will be testing with their seminar teachers. So 9th graders will be testing together, and then 10th and 11th graders will be taking a separate test. So the PSAT 9, there's a reading test, and then a writing test and language, and then you take a math test with no calculator, and then another test that's for math where you get to use a calculator. The total testing time is 2 hours and 35 minutes.
For the 10th graders, they're taking a dry run for the National Merit Scholarship test, which the NMSQT, it's kind of a mouthful. In 11th grade, when they take the same exact test, they can be put in for a National Merit Scholarship, and if they win, then they can get, you know, I don't know, it's up to $10,000 for college. 10th grade, it doesn't count towards the NMSQT, but it's a really good indicator of how you would do on that. So every year we get, you know, maybe some semi-finalists, or maybe even every once in a while a finalist for the NMSQT. So it's not unheard of, but it's, you know, of course, very rare, but it's still a very, very good diagnostic tool.
Okay, homework. Some students have very good study skills, and other students are still learning that process. Because you're in high school and you're taking 7 different classes with 7 different teachers, you need to be organized. So each day when you come home, you need to have a specific time where you're going to do your homework. It might be right when you get home from school, or maybe it'll be after dinner each evening. You also need to have a place where you organize yourself. All of our students receive planners where they can write down their assignments and write down when they're due, and it really helps to be organized. Because they have so many teachers, it's easy to forget what might be due from day to day. They need to be in a quiet learning environment when they're studying, with good lighting, access to a computer for Google Classroom. And students should be checking their homework every day, or at least once a week, check to make sure that everything is up to speed. If a student is having difficulty in some of their classes, we offer Homework Club, which is every Wednesday and Thursday, immediately after school, starting at 2:30, and it goes till 4 o'clock.
One thing I would say too with homework, it really helps after you finish your homework, take a picture of it if you can with your phone, because a lot of times if teachers lose your homework, or if you lose your homework or forget to turn it in, at least if you have a photo of it, you can send that to them, and most teachers will accept that as well. Because a lot of times what happens is the homework gets shoved to the bottom of a book bag or something, and you find it like 2 weeks later. But at least if you have a photo of it, that's a really good backup. Okay, I think it's really important for students to keep up to date on their grades. Grade speed is a really good tool that teachers use to, like, obviously to record kids' grades, but parents and students both have access to grade speed. They can each have their own account. So parents, if you don't have your grade speed account set up, please talk to Ms. Casella and get your grade speed account set up. That way you can track homework, you can track grades, you can track upcoming assignments, due dates. It's really, really an important tool that helps parents keep a pulse on how their kids are doing in their classes.
And some things to remember is that some teachers give more assignments than others. And so it's important to look to see when an assignment is due. It is not intended to replace having communication with the teacher. Their main job is to teach the information to the students. So if you want to get information from a teacher, you can email them, but please be patient and give them time to respond to you. And always keep your email address that you have current so that when we try to contact you, that the email goes through.
Yeah, I'd say that timely communication in general is really important. If your son or daughter starts to kind of drop academically, you can reach out to the teachers. All of us have email that's like first name dot last name at dodia.edu, or first name dot last name at student.dodia.edu. So in both cases, we always check both accounts, very regularly. So if you have a problem, go ahead and email the teachers and let the teachers know if something's going on. Maybe there was a death in the family, or maybe you went on a trip, an unexpected trip or something something's going on in the family that may be impacting grades or something. So keep teachers up to speed on what's happening, and they're much more willing to work with you and be flexible if they have some idea of what's going on.
Okay, the planner that you have received, that the students have received, is very helpful in keeping a person organized. As I said earlier in this presentation, students have 7 different teachers, so it's very hard just to remember everything that they need to do for each class. So have your students write their assignments into their planners, and then have them show that planner to you in the evening so you can see what they're need to have done that night to be prepared for the next day. And make your student accountable and make sure that they're writing down their homework.
Okay, it's really important if students are in school every day, if at all possible. Obviously, if they're sick, keep them home, especially in this COVID-19 era. But if they're well, make sure that they go to school and that they attend all of their classes, because one of the biggest detriments to a student's academic performance is missing class, because they miss assignments, they miss information that's taught, and they can fall further and further behind until pretty soon they just feel like they're just so far behind they can't catch up. So make sure your child attends school, again, if they're well.
It's important to set goals. If you don't set goals, you have nothing to work towards. So early in life, it's important to learn this skill. So planning to do well for first quarter is very important, and then have semester goals, and then year-long goals. And it's important that you also use your 4-year plan to meet graduation requirements. That way you can make sure you're taking all the correct courses to get ready for graduation. And the 4-year plan also helps students make sure they take the right courses. So if they're trying to get into a particular college, they're taking the courses that that college wants them to take to get accepted into their school.
Yeah, it's really important to also have a life outside of school. We really encourage students to be involved in extracurricular activities. Now, they can be school-based, they could be sports, they could be other activities, and they can be outside of school. It really doesn't matter as much as long as students are actively involved and show a level of commitment over a period of time. So we don't encourage students to be hoppers, which means do one activity for 1 week, jump to another one for another week, and just never really commit to anything. It's good to try a few activities and then see what you like and then stick with it. Colleges like to see, over 4 years that every year you were involved in Harvard Memorial Congress, or every year you were involved in student council. So it's important to kind of show that level of commitment. And it always helps to have like some leadership positions if you can, as long as you can do them well and still balance all of your work. And don't overcommit yourself. I'd say pick 1 or 2 major extracurricular activities to be involved in at a time, maybe no more than that. And if you feel like your grades are starting to slip, maybe consider scaling back on your extracurricular activities. You're a student first and foremost, but at the same time, extracurricular activities can really make your high school years more fun, more enjoyable, and even prepare you for future careers and for adult life.
Okay, graduation requirements. Both our current 9th and 10th graders have the same graduation requirements. All students are required to have 4 years of language arts. We're required to have 3 years of social studies, 1 credit of world history, either global studies 9 or 10, a credit in U.S. history, a half credit in U.S. Gov, and then another half credit of a social studies elective. In math, we require 4 math credits, Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and 1 more 400 level math course. In science, all of our students are required to have a credit of biology, a credit of chemistry, and a credit of physics. In world language, we offer 2 foreign languages here at Kadena High School. We offer Spanish and we offer Japanese. You need to have 2 years, hopefully consecutive, of the same language. So like 2 years of Japanese or 2 years of Spanish. And then it's up to the student if they want to take more foreign language. And we even go all the way up to AP. In physical education, we require 1.5 credits of PE. We have 3 different PE teachers here. Each course offers different curriculum: personal fitness, lifetime sports, and PE activity nutrition. We also require 1 credit in fine arts. Those are courses like drama, guitar, fundamentals of art, ceramics, any of the fine arts classes. You need at least 1 credit to meet graduation requirements. You need 1/2 credit of health, and then there on here it shows what you need to graduate with honors, which is a 3.8 GPA and at least 4 AP classes. And so if you want to learn more about that, please come and talk to your counselor.
Okay, this slide kind of shows a sample of a transcript. Basically, grades on your transcript are only reflected by semester. So a lot of times students, after the first quarter, they want to see their transcript. their grades are not on there. They're only on there at the end of each semester, and it records all the credits and all the grades for that semester. Um, you can also see year by year, and at the end you can see cumulative credits. So like say, for example, by the end of freshman year, most of you have 6 or 7 credits. By the end of sophomore year, most of you have 12, usually 12 credits, or maybe 14 if you were at Kadena for both years. Anyway, so it shows you your overall credits and your overall GPA. Now that's really important because we require at least a 2.0 GPA to graduate. So you can kind of start to see if your GPA starts to drop, you may want to consider retaking certain courses if you failed them or got a low score. Or maybe you're overextending yourself and maybe you need to kind of like scale back so that you can maintain your GPA.
Okay, certain questions that come up often with parents of freshmen
Or
or,
sophomores.
or sophomores or people new to our school. Um, One of the questions that's asked a lot is, where can my child get help if they need support in a particular subject area? We have homework club, and we have 4 different areas: the language arts, math, science, and social studies. So depending on the area, the student can go to that teacher's room and the teacher can help them with their subject area.
They may also have National Honor Society students can also volunteer sometimes to help tutor kids. Um, they should make announcements. I mean, you'll hear announcements either in the morning announcements, or maybe the NHS sponsor might announce that there are some tutoring going on. So that's an option that people may utilize if it works. One of the other questions that they ask is about the 4-year plan. Basically, it starts as a 6-year plan in middle school, and it kind of lays out what courses you're going to take every year until you graduate from high school. And of course, it changes all the time. So as long as, so you're encouraged to constantly update it and make sure that the classes that you said you're going to take, you actually took, and then make sure that it aligns with our graduation requirements so that you make sure you graduate. But also, like Ms. Vessel said earlier, if you know you want to be, say, a chef, or you want to get an endorsement on your transcript, you can look and make sure and see what the requirements are to have that on your transcript, or to make sure that you have all the courses you can possibly take to prepare you for a certain career. So that 4-year plan is updated every year in Choices 360. And also we work one-on-one with students to make sure that that is constantly like aligned with the goals for graduation. And parents have access to that in Choices 360. If you have any questions, please come and see us about that. And number 3, should my students still be using Google Classroom? Yes, definitely. We're in a blended learning environment because you never know if we can go back to level C or something and may have to go home. But no matter what, we still believe that it's more effective to make use of technology, even if we don't necessarily have to, because it can make the learning environment richer and more rewarding.
When should I take the ACT or SAT? So, College Board recommends that students take the SAT for the first time in the spring of their junior year. That way they have time to get their scores back so that when they're applying to colleges in the fall of their senior year, they'll already have their scores. If a student is unhappy with their scores, we recommend that they take the SAT again in the fall of their senior year. So they still have time to get those scores into the colleges. Many colleges require you to have your testing scores in when you do your application, and there's a lot of schools that have deadlines of December 1st. So it's important that students sign up for the SAT or ACT or both. These 2 tests are owned by 2 different companies, and the tests are not exactly the same. So we recommend that a student take the SAT at least one time and the ACT one time, and whichever one they score better in, then send those scores to the college.
Okay, does Kadena High School have a PTSO or school advisory council that I can support? Yes, we have both, and you're definitely encouraged to join. We have a very active PTSO, and they sell spiritware. They have food and snacks that they sell to the kids. They give scholarships every year. They're just very, very active. We're really lucky to have the PTSO we do. And the School Advisory Council meets regularly to try to improve the school or touch on issues that parents may have. And parents are always invited to attend. We want to thank you for coming to this parent night. And again, watch this video as many times as you need. But if there's any questions you have that weren't answered by the PowerPoint, or maybe you need more clarification on, please feel free to come see Ms. Vessel if you're a 9th grade parent or student, or myself, David Gertz, if you're a 10th grade parent or student, and we're happy to help.